What's the minimum list size that you should have to send mail to for it to actually be effective? So as you guys know, I'm Ross, been investing in real estate for 15 years. I get most of my deals by direct marketing to sellers, usually via mail. I've bought 300 plus flips. I own 150 rentals. So obviously I do this a lot. Okay. I used to get deals through real estate agents, through wholesalers. Now I would say 95% plus come through mail that I send. And somebody in my free for now school community is asking, what is the minimum amount of mail that I should send for it to be effective? So personally, I have a list that I've refined down to the most likely people in the neighborhoods that I buy in that are going to return the mail, actually call me back. And it's around 2,300 people. So last month, 2,300 pieces of mail go out, the same ones to every one of the 2,300 basically stays the same every month when I send the mail. Last month, the mail got me 4 phone calls and it led to 1 deal that I've closed on. All right, so let's look at the math here. There's an important thing to think about, which is in sales, leads, appointment, shows. So 2,300 pieces of mail got sent out and I had 4 leads, 4 leads out of that. And that led to 2 appointments. I say leads, appointment, shows because sometimes you get an appointment and they don't actually show up or, it gets canceled. But anyway, we had shows. This worked more in the business that I used to be in. But anyway, out of those, I got 1 contract and 1 closing. Actually bought 1 house. Okay, so this is like your sales pipeline. If you're thinking about it like a Kanban, this is it. I send 2,300, and then I have appointments set, so on and so forth, all the way to closing. Or one other way to look at it is the classic funnel. 2,300 go in. This squeezes really fast to 4 calls. Okay. And when I say calls, I include the ones that say F you, man. All right. But using this math, that's 2,300. So 4 calls out of 2,300 and 1 turned into a closing out of 2,300. So let's do some math here. 4 divided by 2,300 equals, great, 0.17% is the return that I got there. Less than 1% of people actually called me. And then even worse, of course, the closing is 0.04%. So the question is, now there's lots of factors that affect these things, which I'm going to go through each one of these. But just based on this math alone, let's say that you are going to send to 500 people. Okay, so 500 people using this same math. Once again, we'll go into what affects the math. 0.0004 times 500 equals 0.2. Okay, so basically times 5. So I could expect that after I send this 5 times, which would be 5 months in this case, then I would have sent 2,500 pieces of mail. Therefore, I should get 1 deal out of that, right? Okay. And that math lines up, but there are ways. Let's focus on this number right here. Okay. How do I make that number go higher? So I could be better. This is how all these funnels work. You're looking at improving the amount that comes from each one of these levels. So if I sent 2,300 pieces of mail, how do I make it 6 calls instead of 4? And instead of 1 call leading to 2 appointments, how do I make it 3 appointments? Okay, how do I increase the percentages at each one of these levels? And that's an arrow up and an increased percentage. So let's talk about each one of those levels. All right, first is the 2,300 to the 6 calls. So how do I get more people to call? Now, there are lots of factors here. I've written them down in my notes. All right, so for one, it is the market that we're in. So I'm actually getting a better response now than I was getting a couple of years ago because, there's probably less investors sending out mail right now because some people got a little bit tightened up when the market contracted a little bit. Okay, so there's less people that are sending mail, and there's more homeowners that are in pain and need somebody to come by their house, need them to liquidate the house. Therefore, the response, just because of the market alone, will be higher, which, by the way, should lead to better deals for you. You know, you don't buy the same deals that you would have bought 2 years ago because it's not the same market as it was 2 years ago. There's less people out there buying, therefore the price should be contracted for you. Okay, so it depends on the market you're in, and that's also like a seasonal thing. So not only are there market cycles, but also there's more people buying in the springtime than there is in the wintertime, and you should take that into account, and that is probably going to affect your numbers. There is the quality of the letter or postcard itself. Okay, you can spend 64 cents per postcard, or you could spend $2 per postcard. And so let's do that math here. At 2,300 or at the 500. So if you were sending 500 a month at 64 cents, you're spending $320 a month. Reasonable. Okay. And you know, in this 2,300 that I sent, it was the cheapest ones. Okay. And then there is, you could spend, you know, like $1.50 gets you some other quality factors that I'm going to go into here in a second. But $1.50 times the 500, I don't know why I did that math, 750, obviously. So spending quite a bit more money. Why am I spending that money? Because you're likely going to get a much better return. So instead of the so if I send 500 cards times the 150, that's 750, right? Or I could have sent the 64 cents, that's 320. Okay, but I may have, out of those 2,300 cards, gotten 2 deals. Okay, so is it worth it to me? I don't know. You're going to have to make that decision for yourself. And also, am I actually going to double up the amount of calls I get, therefore the amount of deals that I get? You don't know. Okay, that's the thing about mail, and this is the thing that stops a lot of people from doing it, is you are sending things into a black hole, and most people can't deal with that. That's why people get jobs, because they can't deal with the unknowing. You know, entrepreneurs like you go into a dark tunnel and you hope that there's light at the end of it. Most people can't deal with that. Therefore, they go find somebody else who is willing to do that, and they follow them because the safety thing. They like that, even though they don't know that whoever owns that company doesn't know what the hell they're doing just as much as we don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just doing, okay? And that's what mail is like. You send it out there into the ether and hope something comes back. Statistically speaking, something comes back. However, you might send out 500 postcards, get 3 calls on the first one, but not get another call for the next 6 months. Or maybe it takes you 6 months and then you get 3 phone calls on that 6th one. That's how statistics work. Can't help you there. But mail always works if you stick to it. In fact, all marketing channels eventually work if you stick to it. Okay, so quality is, what is the range of 64 cents to $1.50 or even up to $2? So there's handwritten. Okay, there's a few different types. There's typed. Of course, you know what that is. And then there's fake handwritten. There's a higher quality fake handwritten. And then there is an actual handwritten with a robot machine where they put a pen in the robot's hand and it presses down so you can actually see the indentions on the postcard itself. And then there's one level up where there's grandmas sitting somewhere writing postcards with their own handwriting. And, the idea is, especially if it's on the front of a card or a letter and you see real handwriting, you're like, oh, that's probably something important. I should open that. All right, that's the whole idea. That's what you're paying extra money for. That's one thing you pay extra money for. You pay extra money for a real stamp versus like the, postage stamps. If I had hang on. Got one right here. Okay, so this card right here, this I've used the fake handwriting. I've used, so this is fake, but it's like AI modified, so it looks real. And then it's got the first class US postage paid right here. Not a real stamp. This is a QR code, not a real stamp. I don't know. Can you see that? Oh, it's not. There it is. Okay, that's a QR code up at the top. You can see right here, that is the quote unquote stamp. This is like, real-ish looking handwriting. I sent it to myself. I was testing out some different postcard designs. But anyway, I'm not selling. All right. So those are the things that you're paying a little bit of extra money for. Now, stamp or no, and then you have quality of the copy itself. All right. So the copy is what you say, on the front of the card, what kind of stuff you have on the front of the card, and then the things that you say in the middle, like, hey, I'm Ross, I want to buy your house. Is that good copy? I don't know. Take some copywriting classes. Or do what I do, which is I go look at the biggest companies out there that are doing it, like the We Buy Ugly House people, and I just copy what they do because I assume they're doing all the A/B testing and figuring out what gets the best response. Now, I have a little bit of a customized thing because I own a local construction company. That's a good thing to mention in there because people like the local. You get it. Okay. And then there's like letters or postcards. All right, so a letter goes into an envelope. The envelope has either handwriting in the stamp or not, and then you open it up, pull out the letter. A postcard is what I just showed you. It's front and back right there. People usually know it's marketing immediately, but they're a lot cheaper. All right, so that's the spectrum of quality. But the idea is if I spend 64 cents for a piece of mail, I'm going to get less response than if I spent $1.50 or $2 on the piece of mail. Okay, so that is the first piece is how do I get the 2,300, or we were using the example of 500. How do I make sure that I get, let's say, 2 calls off of the 500? And then of the 2 calls, how do I get to more appointments? Well, this is simply sales. You got to be good on the phone. You got to be constantly working to get into the appointment. How do you confirm from there? Appointments to shows. How do you make sure that you didn't just convince them on the call, or maybe more likely what happens is, you think you're good at sales. You think you're good at getting people from a call to an appointment, but really you're annoying and they're just telling you what you want to hear. And so you get an appointment on your calendar, but then it ends up getting canceled or they ghost you or whatever. They never pick up the phone. So the appointment doesn't lead to a show. And then there's from shows to closings. Also, obviously, big sales there. And, as you guys know, we do a lot of sales training, or I'll answer any questions about sales in both my content and my free For Now school community. It's linked in the description. So go check it out. And that's pretty much it, guys. It's all a game of numbers. You got to be willing to throw the money out there. It's going to come back eventually. So don't let the things like, oh man, did I put the right copy in there? Or did I pick the right postcard? It all works. Just, it could work a little bit better. But I mean, the difference is like, did I get 1 or 2 calls? Or did I get, 4 calls? Or did I get 5 calls? Yes, those differences matter, but it's like, guys, if I spent $2,300 to send mail and I got a deal that is tens of thousands of dollars off of what I would have had to pay if I went to the real estate market to buy it, what am I complaining about? Okay, just do it. Okay, and as you get better, instead of spending $2,300 to get a deal, I might spend $1,800. Who cares? I buy a few more cases of beer because I saved that money. It's not the difference maker. The difference maker is taking the action to go get a list and send the frickin' mail. So go do it and check out this video right here, or join my free school community. Thanks. See ya. Bye-bye.